Fanny, get out of my coffee. Alrighty. Quick little session here. Fanny says hello. Fanny girl, what a choice that is. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Fanny just wants to be where the people are. Her name, she came to me with the name Fanny Bryce, and because she's a funny girl, and that is accurate. But if I had, oh, such a good girl. If I had to give her a name from scratch, I would have named her Ariel because she want to be where the people are. But she's my Fanny girl. Say hi, Fanny. I was like, I'm just going to pop in and do this real quick, real efficient. And instead, I'm playing with the cat. All right. So last session, we kind of barely started, just enough of a start to say we'd started our 3 velvet shoes. So last time we finished our 3 king cake shoes. That's the first set of 3 that are finished. I put them on my Instagram. The picture of them kind of, they do still need to go in their real bags, but they're in their temporary storage bags. So we are still working on our pizza slices. And we're doing our velvets. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 slices of pizza. We did the crust. We did the first coat of Baked with Love on the wedge and on the slice part. We did the Baked with Love on the crust because it was a piece of silver rope. And we did the top coat, you know, the second coat, the final coat of silver. So all these need is silver on the bottom. You can kind of tell the difference between, maybe not. Maybe the difference is in my head, and that's okay too. I am willing to accept that. Okay, so got my big bag, my big glue bag. Ooh, the glue fumes. That's all right. That's part of the experience. And then all we need to do on these, let me scooch it back a little bit now that, sorry y'all, now that Fanny isn't plopped right in front of my workspace. Sorry guys. This is reminiscent of the early lives before I figured out what to do, but now I've forgotten what to do, so I have to relearn it all. But that's fun. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got a little bit. Oh, it's not a lot. I might need to, we'll see how far this gets me, but I might need to restock that before I actually finish these, but that's okay. I'll get done what I can get done, and then I'll restock. And I said it in the last video, but I want to mention, I am doing a bunch of pizza slices because that's easy filler for me. That makes sure I have plenty of shoes to work with. But I recommend doing, I think, 1 2-ounce jar of silver, whatever your preferred silver is. I personally really like DEA badge with the Sail on Silver Girl in it, but you might like something different. But I do think 2 ounces will be plenty to do the slice, the server on 3 shoes. I just ran out because I went into other stuff because I need to be a little bit more careful about making sure that I'm representing the experience. Yeah, I think we'll probably get 1. I think we'll get 1 out of my tiny little bits. And when your jar starts to get low like this, it's just aggravating because you have to move it off the paper again and again and again. Yep. All right. I was like, I'm going to hop in and do this real quick. But I did not have enough silver glitter, so that's all right. What I think I will do, we'll go a little bit out of order. I would personally recommend finishing up all the silver, but as I have said many times already, you kind of got to roll with what you got. And so at the moment, I don't have enough silver. I will get it today at Craft Culture. All right, so that's 1 done. I will get it today at Craft Culture, but that being the situation, I think we can move on to putting the sauce on these slices, and I will catch up on the silver next time. I would recommend doing all the silver because I think just it keeps it cleaner if you finish up one color before switching too much. But I also don't want to waste the work time. So she's brushed. And sometimes if you have confetti, it doesn't The 1 millimeter confetti isn't too chunky. But if you have chunks of confetti, rubbing it with your hand kind of helps get the loose, if there are any loose bits off. The brush might not do it all on its own if there's some confetti in there. All right, she's brushed. Last one. Oh, I'm actually a liar because I said, oh, I'm going to do the red. I cannot do the red until I do the trim, and I don't want to do the trim until I do the final coat of silver. So let me check real quick and see if I have any more silver in my stash. Just 1 second. Don't mind me, y'all. What's your deal? Nope. I'm seeing if I have anything just to get me to the end. No, pretty cleaned out post-carnival. Got a lot of very fun confettis in here. Very fun silver confetti, but no DEA badge silver. All right, that's okay. All right, do I have any in here? Sorry, y'all, not my most organized moment. I'm wondering if I should even scrap this one and try again with more DEA badge silver. I guess actually let me go ahead and do my velvets, and it'll just be a short session, but some sessions are short sessions. So for these I need more silver and I ran out. So if that, maybe that's comforting to y'all to know that I do that as well. Because I definitely have people coming to the shop and they're like, I thought I was finished, but I ran out of one last thing. So even though I've been doing it a long time, it still happens. Okay, so let me put my coats on my velvets, and then that'll be all we get done today, and that's totally fine. Sometimes a session is a short session. The important thing is to keep it moving. And every single step isn't going to be a marathon, but oh, I wanted to mention, I mentioned it in the last one, but what I'm moving on to now, one of my 2 March designs. So my 2 February designs are king cake and pizza slices. And we finished the king cakes and we're still trucking on the pizza slices. And February was sort of a weird month because we obviously didn't get started until after Carnival, so it wasn't even really a full month. We are not very far into the project and I'm already making excuses. But no, February was a short month. Or February was a short amount of work time. So finishing the king cakes and getting a good ways into the pizza is fine. It's about averages, not about quotas. And then my 2 March shoes are going to be, we're going to do some po' boys, some flip-flop sandwiches. Gonna do the po' boys for sure, and then gonna maybe, if we feel like it, maybe play with some other sandwiches with the po' boys. Maybe that's what I'll do to make this session a little bit more filled out. And this is Wave Velvet, which is our powder blue velvet. And the velvets, an important thing to remember about the velvets is that the texture needs to be very, very smooth on what you're glittering, because the velvets are very high cover, but they do really hug every little nook and cranny. So if you have a shoe where you had straps on there and you like seam rippered them off and you have little holes or little spots where the threads are still kind of hanging on, the velvet is going to capture all of that. So you want a nice smooth shoe so that when you velvet it, it stays smooth. So for example, I pulled this as an example to show y'all. So hopefully y'all can see how this has like a snakeskin texture. It's got like little, you know, that kind of fake scales. Obviously not real snakeskin. But it's got this kind of texture on it. If I tried to do velvet on this, it would capture every little bump. It would look scaly. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I just want y'all to be very aware of that. When you're working with the velvets, it's probably going to be a more peaceful glitter experience if you use a smoother shoe to begin with. So this was a nice smooth patent leather. And I have had people ask me like, oh, I'm having issues getting the glitter to stick to the patent leather. I would say number one, if you are having that issue and you're using Mod Podge alone without any aleenes in it, try a little aleenes. It'll just make it grippier. But if you are having that, if you are using a glue where you know that's not the issue, if you're using like aleenes and Mod Podge, or you're using something a little thicker and grippier and you're still having that issue, I would say either give your patent leather shoe a little once over a rub with nail polish remover with acetone, just to kind of take that highly water resistant finish off of it, or with some very fine sandpaper, you can kind of buff it a little bit. When I was a biomedical engineer, I heard about a study done where they were trying to make, I think it was like, you know, vasculature, some sort of heart valve, and they tried to make them smoother and smoother and smoother and smoother, and they realized if they made them a little rough, the body would like coat it. So a little bit of rough just helps stuff stick on. So if your glitter isn't sticking to your patent leather or something really smooth. That being said, I don't usually have that issue. I don't usually need to do that with my shoes, but I do 2 coats and I mix the aleenes into the Mod Podge, so that might be part of it. Everyone has a very different experience, and I'm happy to troubleshoot as much as I can, but it is, I always say there are as many ways to glitter as there are glitterers, and that is very true. All right. So as before, I'm doing a monochrome shoe. It is very fun and very beautiful to put a ton of different colors on your shoe, to have like stripes and, you know, rainbows and purple, green, and gold and all those fun things. That is really fun and really cool, and I love to do it when we are trying to just kind of get some juicy numbers for our anxiety, for our mental health. When we are trying to get a little head start so we feel prepared, which is kind of the vibe for me right now, and I'm hearing kind of the vibe from other people too. Monochrome goes more quickly. Monochrome is just going to be slightly smoother sailing. So these two, I gave them their first coats. What I'm going to do when those are all glittered, and there's a confetti that I think I'm going to pick up today at the shop. I meant to pick it up. I think water lilies would be really pretty with this, so I think I'm going to grab some water lilies. So the sort of formula, you can riff on it, would be pick out your favorite velvet. We've got 10 of them. Pick out your favorite velvet. Pick out a chiffon flower. I've opened this one, but we have these little 5 packs of chiffon flowers at Craft Culture, and we have them in many, many, many colors. And this one, I took 2 out of. So this one, the chiffon flowers, it's $4.50 for a pack of 5. And they have these little like pearls and jewels. And they chiffon and velvet, they just vibe well together. So that's an easy. So I've already unpacked them, but I've got some powder blue ones. I've got 3 5-packs. I'm going to put 5 chiffon flowers on each shoe. And you don't have to. You can do more, you can do less. 1 little chiffon flower in the front is very pretty. I could do like boop, and that would be very cute. But I like it to look a little ruffly. So I'm going to do 5, and I'll show, we'll get to that. So I'm going to do these totally powder blue. But you could do this with the butterscotch velvet or the paprika velvet or the pink velvet would be really pretty. I have some pink stuff that I'm saving because we're going to do, a little bit later on, we're going to do my champagne shoe, or a champagne shoe. I don't own that. A lot of people do champagne shoes very beautifully. We're going to do a champagne shoe. All right, so I'm going to set these aside. And that's going to have a lot of pink on it because I just think pink and gold is it's very fun and champagne-y. Okay, so this one I did last week. So the top, this is dry. So I can do the bottom. And I would say, okay, so if I'm glittering a shoe and I put it like that, you can see the heel is touching the paper. That would mean I couldn't do the sole and the heel all in one go. But if I sit it like, if I can balance it and the heel doesn't touch the paper, I can do the whole thing. I hope that makes sense. I'll mention it a few more times. Basically, when you're glittering, you always need to leave yourself a handle, and you always need to be mindful of how it's going to sit while it dries. You don't want wet glue touching the table or the dehydrator or anything. You want the wet glue to be able to sit untouched and dry peacefully in the air. That sounded very yoga and meditative, but hopefully it helps y'all visualize what I'm talking about. And it is sometimes possible to put it on a shelf and have the heel like hanging off. You can kind of figure out what that's going to look like for you. So for trim on these, we have this really cute little floral trim at Craft Culture. I will post it later. Okay. So because I can balance this one without the heel touching the table or touching the floor or touching the rack, wherever I put it, I'm going to do the sole and the heel. Because for a Muses shoe to be a Muses shoe, every surface is covered. And I can see a spot I missed inside, and part of me is kind of tempted to try to do that now too, but I think probably slow and steady wins the race. Let me see how I feel after this is glittered. I don't want to commit to that until I've done what I want to do. All right, so she's wave velvet all around. I wonder if my lighting is okay here. I wonder if a lamp would help. So I can kind of see that I missed her, and I can't really show it. I kind of missed getting her inside, so I'm going to see if I can get just a little bit more. Yeah, okay. That is hard. Getting inside the toe of the shoe, that's a tough one. And people who are new to shoes often ask me, like, how do you get all the way into the toe? And I don't think I get all the way into the toe. I just do my best. Like, if you cut her apart and checked, there would definitely be spots I didn't reach. But you try your best, but also don't beat yourself up for falling short of perfection. What you probably could do, I mean, is like pour some dilute glue in there and pour it out and then pour the glitter, and that's just more rigmarole than I'm interested in. Okay, so y'all cannot see, but I got some glue into the toe that I missed when I did my first one. And I was going pretty quick, and that is a spot I miss pretty often, so it's not surprising. But easy enough to address. All right, so that is 3 powder blue shoes started. And I think to give us a little bit more, you know, oomph today, what I'm going to do is, so I've got my 3 pizza shoes that I'm waiting on. Let me plug in my glue gun, and we can start on our Poboys. We can start on our flip-flops. That'll be very cool. So y'all can see how she's balanced. This isn't touching the table. This, everywhere that there is wet glue is just sitting in the air at peacefully drying. So I'm gonna set her down, and then I'm gonna get my stuff ready for my flip-flops. So I'm gonna put the wave velvet and the I'm gonna keep the wave velvet over here with the chiffon, and we'll do that all together. I'm gonna try to get some of that little blue floral trim at Craft Culture today. I might get it done, I might not. But that is what I would like to use. But if not, what's nice about the chiffon flowers is they have that kind of silvery metal, so you can, any combination of things, if you do the chiffon flowers in a velvet, you can use just silver trim and it'll work. So that's a vibe, no problem. With the butterscotch, I can also use gimp. Oh, I think I might actually have some powder blue gimp left over from my chicken shoes. I'm going to dig around for that too. Maybe we can do like one silver, one powder blue, and one little blue flowers. That would be, I like that plan a lot. Okay, so for flip-flop po' boys, here's what we're going to do. We could also work on our pizza toppings, but I don't want to get too much going at once. Okay, so flip-flops. Flip-flops are inexpensive, pretty easy to come by. But, you know, not like the sexiest silhouette. Nobody, I think, pictures a Muses shoe and is like, oh yeah, let me have a nice flat flip-flop. But I think that's what makes it cool. You know, I think challenging yourself to work with a shape that isn't necessarily that classic big pump. I think challenging yourself is a good way to spark your own creativity. So what I'm going to do is she's on, she's just not warmed up yet. What I'm going to do, these are, you know, the straps are a little bit of an issue. We want to make sure that they're reinforced. Who do I like? I think I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do this one. I've already prepped this pair. And the prep, I will show you what the prep looks like. And then, all right, I like the smalls because I think the smalls are cute, but you can work with whatever. And, you know, a bigger sandwich is certainly, nobody's mad about a nice big po' boy. All right, so, yeah. Cut them apart. So when you are making a flip-flop sandwich, a flip-flop po' boy, or you could be doing a burger, and I might play around a little bit with I want to try to do a muffalata, and I want to try to do a burger. We're going to play with that separately. What you're going to do is push on that. In each pair, you need one that has a strap and one that is de-strapped, that you've taken the strap off of. So the straps, you know, every one is designed different, but and I do sometimes put them back in, and I'll show y'all what that looks like. All right, so I've got one flip-flop that I've taken the straps off of, one flip-flop that I left the strap on, and if I had a lot of time, I would bead a little strap for this on wire because that's cuter, and maybe I'll do some of those. But I also want to be reasonable in terms of like what's a valid expectation on your time. So that's how we make the flip-flop. That's how we make the little po' boy. We're going to put our fillings in. We're going to do these brown or baked with love so that they're toasty, bready. And then we're going to make our various fillings. And I'll show you my little tricks. I've got some fun little tricks for the fillings. And I look forward to sharing them. So I like to put a flip-flop, I call it the flip-flop lollipop. I put it on a bamboo skewer, like for doing kebabs. You could do it on a chopstick, probably. I don't have any chopsticks handy, but you could probably do it. The foam is dense. The foam isn't going to just collapse or anything, but the foam is spearable. Okay, so let's see if my glue gun is heated up. So what I'm going to do on these is this is kind of loose, so I want to make it strong if I can. So I'm going to pull that through so that this holds tight. These are pretty snug. I don't think these, maybe I'll reinforce them. Why not? You know, good prep is important. So I'm going to just put a little bit of glue under there just to give me some extra insurance. And Muses shoes are sculptures, so they aren't going to necessarily be doing, the structural demands on a Muses shoe are not like enormous. Nobody's expecting a Muses shoe to walk around all night, but you do have to take them on the float, and you do want them to last, and you don't want the ride to bust them up. Okay, so same thing. I pushed this in to make this loose. And then I pulled it all the way out. And that makes the strap sit as high as possible. Probably want to reinforce before you skewer so you don't poke your eye out, but sometimes you figure things out after you've already done them. Do you guys know that? Sometimes that happens. Okay, so there's one sandwich ready to go. Here's another sandwich ready to go. This one's a little bigger, so it's a little. I would try to stick to smaller sizes, but also we're not going to get too precious about it. And then this one, I reinforced this one, so this one's going to lose its straps. But yeah, the small sizes are a little bit better, and baby ones are so cute. A little baby flip-flop sandwich would be just precious. Okay. Bamboo skewers. In she goes. Flip-flop lollipop. Give a dog a bone. Okay. And so we did start off the marathon, the shoe marathon, with a half-pound bag of Baked with Love. So I'm thinking that's enough to get me through my 3 king cake shoes that I did. Now, granted, on those I did, on those king cake shoes, their first coat was my dreads, my little bits and my bobs. So I didn't break into my fresh glitter when I started those. I'm going to unplug my glue gun because I'm done with her and she's just, I don't want to catch her on my elbow. So that was enough to do our 3 king cake shoes, just the top coat, because the first coat we did something else. You could do a mix of browns, you could do a mix of golds. I would economize on that top coat if you can. Just always good to economize. So that Baked with Love was enough to do those 3 king cake shoes, the pizza slice part of my 3 pizza wedges. And let's see now if it gets me through all 6 of my flip-flop lollipops. Now's the time to find out. And these are a little bit weird, so I'm going to clean my space a little bit so that if it spills, we can catch it, and if not, if it's clean, it can go back. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I use old homework sheets as my scrap paper, and I get to enjoy the thoughts that are in my boys in their heads. When I am 100 years old, I will probably just lay down in my bed at my home. That is what I'll be like in 100 years. That makes sense. That's a plan. Laying down in your bed at 100 years old. I feel like I want to lay down in my bed, and I am not 100 years old. Okay, let's get started on our flip-flop lollipop. I've got my clean space. I've got my scrap paper. I've got all my speared slices of bread, and then I've got Baked with Love. But yeah, you could do all sorts of cute sandwiches. You could do like a BLT. That would be really cute. You could do like an Elvis, a velvet Elvis, if you were a Priscilla, because I know they do shoes during muses. That would be really cute. That would be really cute. I would love a velvet Elvis po' boy sandwich, a flip-flop sandwich. I do have a little velvet, a little mini sandwich from my Elvi buddy, and I love it. But that would be really cute. But yeah, you could do peanut butter jelly sandwich. And now I'm just listing sandwiches, so I'm going to probably knock that off. I'm starting to do the bit from Forrest Gump where he just names all the things you can make with shrimp. And literally, we're going to do, the Venn diagram of that is we're going to do a shrimp po' boy, so that works on both levels. Okay, so the whole flip-flop, is glued. And so, yeah. Oh, that looks so good. Look at that beautiful slice of glittery bread. She looks great. And then what you would do is, I keep my glue sticks and my gals in there. So I'll move these to a different, what do I got? I want to weight this somehow, and it probably would have been very smart to do that first. All right, so for now, I'm going to stick this, you won't be able to see, I'm going to stick it in my cup that has all my paint brushes and stuff in it. That's on the other side of the camera, but I'll show y'all in a minute. What I want to do is get like some heavy rocks and put them in the bottom of the cup so the cup doesn't tip over. So you need kind of a big-ish cup, kind of a tall cup. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. You need kind of a tall cup and then some rocks in it so it's heavy. Oh, that cleared my brain in a bad way. What you want for when you're doing skewers like this is you want a big-ish cup with some weight in it. So what I can maybe do, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm like, here's what you're going to do. Let's do it. So I'm going to take my skewers and I'm going to set those over there. I have like 2 pitiful rocks in there as a memento of what I have not done here, which is, all right, I'm going to take a little thing of glue. That's going to make that heavy enough. You just need some weight in there so that it's heavy. All right. And so then I'm going to make myself a little bouquet of flip-flop bread slices. And we'll keep checking back on that. So you just need enough weight in your big cup or your big like takeout container or whatever. Tux has these really big cups, huge Mardi Gras cups that say size matters. Those are great for this. And this is also how I do like little bits of fruit. We'll get to that a little bit later. But if I'm doing a bunch of things where, and this is how we're also going to do our shrimp. I'll show y'all that a little bit later. But for now, we're just going to make slices of bread. Very peaceful. Another nice thing about the flip-flop po' boy is I always do 2 coats of glitter, but 2 surfaces of your po' boy don't really show. So on those, I get away with just doing 1. So we love a shortcut. We love a, we love it when we can not cut corners, but where we can save ourselves a little energy. All right, so she's all glued. Glitter her. The flip-flop lollipops are very satisfying. It's very efficient. A couple of years back when I just started riding, I was trying to do a lot of flip-flops, and this was the technique that I landed on. I actually, for that, I was doing so many that I had like a dilute bucket of glue, and I would dip it in the glue, let it kind of run off, and then I would do the flip-flop lollipop, and then I just like stuck them in my yard. I just had a bunch of flip-flop lollipops just growing in my yard. Okay. Jazz hands. I'm gonna keep on going. And when you get to the ones with the straps, that's obviously slows you down a little. You want to get that strap good and glittered. So I guess if you were doing like a ton, if you and a bunch of gals wanted to, not necessarily gals, I know men glitter shoes too, and I love that. But if you and a bunch of glitter buddies wanted to get together and make like a big batch of flip-flop lollipops and do a bunch of sandwiches or a bunch of layered flip-floppies, that would make you go even faster. If you got a big Tupperware container, put some dilute glue in there, dipped your flip-flop and let it kind of run, let the excess glue drip off, and then you could make a bunch like that. And then making the fillings and stuff is a little bit more squirrely, but hey. I don't know what squirrel tasks are going to appeal to you and what aren't. One person's yuck is another person's yum. So I can feel that kind of slipping off its skewer, which is not the end of the world, but makes it a little tougher. So I'm going to do the best I can, and then I'll touch up. Flip-flop. Flip-flop lollipop. 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 Okay. So pretty. And so when, I don't want to unbalance it, but basically when those dry, and I'll do the top coat on the surfaces that actually show. So I won't do a second coat on this because it's going to be sandwiched and you won't see it. I'll put like fake mayonnaise and fake tomatoes and such, but she's basically coming along. And so I'll have 2 of them like that. Do we see the vision? Do we trust the process? And we're just gonna, oh, I missed the spot. We're gonna just make a bunch of little fried shrimps. Do I have room to scooch that? I want y'all to see what I'm doing, but I also don't want the view to be just one glittered flip-flop right in your face. All right, so we're halfway there. Living on a prayer. I posted this morning on my Instagram that I have my 3 king cakes done. So that's my first 3 shoes. So that's 3 shoes out of 60 done, which means I am 5% of the way there. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, if you keep taking those little nibbles, eventually you eat the whole elephant. So I'm realizing on the one with the strap, it kind of helps to set it down and do the top because that kind of steadies it a little and then you can get it a little more nook and crannied. And then I'm going to do the sides and the bottoms. I can feel myself slowly hunching into my, so let's do good posture so our back doesn't hurt. I know my back will still hurt. I get a particular spot on my lower back that's like I get this glitter twinge. Everyone's got different glitter, physical therapy needs. If you glitter a lot, you have different stuff happen. You start to feel it. If you're bending over, you can feel it in your neck, and So remember to be nice to your body while you are glittering. Glittering is nice to your heart and your soul to be nice to your body too. The year we opened Craft Culture, I was making a lot of transfers and I had to get one of those like carpal tunnel braces for my wrist because I was just writing so much so fast. People often ask me how long Craft Culture has been there. We have been there 7 years this January, so a little bit over 7 years. And I can usually do the math because my youngest is 8. And I can usually do the math that Craft Culture has been around 1 year less than Maddie because I opened Craft Culture when I had a 1-year-old baby, which, man, that was certainly a choice. I would not change it for anything, but man, that was we did not look before we leaped on that one. But it's been awesome, and I'm glad he's kind of grown up with that community and that kind of, it's a very special place and the glitter community is extremely special. I have gone on and on and on about how special I think the Mardi Gras community and the kind of community of handmade carnival people who costume and make throws and string beads, how special that is. But I think what it really boils down to is that carnival is sort of runs on generosity. Like you put all this work and love into making a party for members of your community, certainly, for your city, the people who will come to the parade. It's not like you're just putting a message in a bottle out into the ocean. So there is a sense of investing in your community. But at the same time, you give a lot to strangers for the joy of giving things. And that's what I like about, I think, understandably, artists in general who are like working artists. And not that carnival throw makers aren't serious artists. I've been doing this like 15 years, and early on I would be like, I'm not an artist, I'm a crafter. But I think throws can absolutely be art, and I think they are. But I think throw artists are a little different than most working artists in that, by and large, very understandably, working artists who are selling their work are going to be a little hesitant there's going to be a limit to what is cool to ask to share. And I don't necessarily want to spend all my time telling people how I do stuff, though I do spend a lot of my time telling people how I do stuff. I don't necessarily want to get into, I don't want to be like a guru. I don't want it to be like people are asking me for stuff to a degree that like I can't make my own stuff. But I do spend a lot of time showing other people things, coming up with ways to teach people how to do stuff. I do spend a lot of my time doing that. And I think I am very lucky, and we are all very lucky in that we aren't competing with each other for like like we aren't economically competing with each other. Like, it's not like if I make the best shoes, someone's going to come buy their shoes from me. So I don't feel the need to like hide anything from other shoe glitterers. So if someone's like, oh my God, how did you do that? I'm like, let me tell you. And that's a good feeling. And I'm not knocking like working artists who sell their work. I think that is amazing. And I get it. If somebody's selling paintings, it's a little bit rude to be like, show me how you did this. It sort of disrespects. It's totally, if they want to share, that's lovely, but it's just a different reality. If we are making throws, it's just, we're not going to be as territorial, as possessive. We're going to enjoy the process of sharing with each other a little more, because if I make shoes to throw and you make shoes to throw, and we both and we share our ideas with each other, and then there's a lot of shoes to throw, that's great. Everybody feels good about that. Nobody ever gets out there and is like, oh, I wish other people, this market is saturated. I wish fewer people were glittering shoes. Nobody wants less people glittering shoes. Not the throw glitterers, Muses understandably has its limit on how many you bring on the float. And I think that's very valid and very understandable, because you do want it to be special. And 30 is, as y'all are, I'm sure, seeing, making 30 well is not nothing. So I think that keeps it special and keeps people from, and there's limited room on just the reality of the thing is you can't have a world where everybody's got, thousands of shoes on the float for so many reasons. I cannot imagine anyone making, I help a lot of people out, but I do it. I'm at a slightly higher level of shoe production than most, but that's because it's, my work. But all right. But I do think we're very lucky, and it's very special that we are able to be generous with our community and with one another. So that is just a stunning bouquet of flip-flop bread slices. Oh my God, so beautiful. Who needs roses when you have a bouquet of flip-flop bread slices? So we are going to let these dry, of course. And then I'm going to get more. Let me talk. Meet me on top of the flip-flop bread. Let's chat over the fence. I'm going to get more DEA badge silver. I'm going to do that today. I've still got sale on Silver Girl, I'm pretty sure. So because I used like half a jar. That does not mean that if I run out of something, I will let y'all know and say, oh, okay, at the beginning of this session, I said you needed a 2-ounce jar. My bad. Turns out you probably need 2. That is not the case. You are still probably, if you are following along with me and you are doing the pizza shoes, 1 2-ounce jar of DEA badge silver should be plenty. That should do you just fine. So I'm personally going to get more DEA badge silver. If you are following along, you are still probably good on your DEA badge silver. I'm going to get more DEA badge silver. I'm going to paint the next time. We're going to do the bottoms of our pizza slices, and then we have all the glitter done. Once the bottoms are glittered silver, we can do our silver trim around, we're going to do silver trim around this edge, kind of where the slicer is picking up the slice of pizza. So we're going to silver trim her all the way around the edge. I am going to use silver gimp. You could use whatever silver trim you like. I would keep it pretty thin so that you aren't like swallowing up your pizza slice. So a thin silver trim. You could do silver sequins. And if you don't want to trim, this is not a bad one to skip that step. I personally always trim. So we're going to trim, and then once we've trimmed, we can paint our pizza sauce, let it dry, apply our cheese texture. We'll talk about that. Apply our cheese texture, apply our cheese colored glitter, let it dry. And then by then we can put our toppings on. And then the last thing will be to do our transfers that say muses on this big, pretty, beautiful. It's got another thing I love about the pizza slices, it's got a nice big surface area to write muses, real pretty and real fun and real dramatic. So that'll be, once we do all those things, and that's not nothing, but it's manageable. We can take those little bites. Once we do all those things, our pizza slices will be ready, and they can join the king cakes in the pile, and that'll be 6 out of 60 done. That'll be 10% of the way done. We are also going to keep on working on our March velvets. So I still need to do the heel and the sole, the first coat, and then I need to do top coats. So I've still got 3 more sessions. So I'll do first coat, heel and sole, let it dry. Top coat, interior, exterior, let it dry. Top coat, heel and sole, let it dry. And then those will be ready to trim and add chiffon flowers to. We'll write muses on there. We'll trim it. We're going to play with some different trim options because it's fun to play. And those will be our velvets. Those will be our 3. One of our 2 March designs is our velvets. One of our 2 is our Poboys. And so these, when they're dry, will get another coat of Baked with Love just on the surfaces that show the bottom of the bottom slice, the top of the top slice, and the edges. You do want to do a top coat on the edges for sure. And then we can make our filling for our po' boys. I'll show y'all how I make the little shrimp. It's very fun and easy and thrifty and upcycly, so we love that. We're gonna need tomato slices for our po' boys. And I will tell y'all right now, my secret for making the tomato slices is to buy the fake lemon slices or orange slices. We sell them at Craft Culture. A lot of craft stores have them. You use them for fake drinks and stuff, but those make perfect fake tomato slices. And then we're gonna need hot sauce, mayonnaise, and lettuce. And those I'm gonna do with colored hot glue sticks. I will show you that as well. And that's a lot, but that's basically the rest of the month. That's what's on deck. That's what's coming. And I'm letting y'all know so that you can get your ducks in a row. If you want to follow along, if you want to like get your little shopping list going, you can have those things. But start keeping an eye out because it's getting to be flip-flop season. It's warming up. So keep an eye out for cheap flip-flops because cheap flip-flops are about to be everywhere abundantly. So that was my quick session that didn't end up being what I thought it was going to be, but did end up being very productive, and I feel really good. I feel like I'm on top of what's next. So we're going to keep on rolling. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope everyone has an awesome Thursday, an awesome Friday, and an awesome weekend.